Welcome to Work from the Inside Out, a podcast that highlights real-life stories, practical strategies, and best practices for transitioning your career from unhappiness and dissatisfaction to fulfillment, meaning, and joy. Now here is your host, career and executive coach, Tammy Guler-Loeb.
Hey everybody, welcome. I am so delighted to introduce my guest today, Archana Shetty. Archana is an executive leadership coach and mentor. Her expertise is in emotional intelligence and peak performance. She empowers leaders to become impactful, inspirational leaders of the next generation without burning out. She is the founder of Next Gen Leadership, a model for transformational leadership based on evidence-based practices to develop emotional intelligence, effectiveness, and well-being for impactful leadership. She serves in a leadership position in a leading organization of the MENA region. She is also the host of an amazing online leadership summit, which will be aired between November 5th to 7th, 2019. And I'm a proud person to have participated in that. She is an ICF certified coach and a certified coach and facilitator with Daniel Goleman Emotional Intelligence Program. She has an MBA from the University of Bradford in the UK. She is also a PMP and has 2 diplomas in computer science and a degree in Ayurveda. Her why is to create a positive impact on many lives as possible. To the extent of her impact, she has partnered with Buy One, Give One, a global organization of giving with a mission of improving communities and lives of those less fortunate. She provides similar opportunities to those who work with her. She believes that every person has the power to change lives. We all have the choice to be the force for good. By making the right choices and operating from the zone of optimal performance, we can live high-quality lives without burning out and also positively impact the next generation. The ripple effect we then have upon one another and the larger world is both profound and vast. Please join me in welcoming Archana Shetty. Hello, Archana.
Thank you, Tammy, for that wonderful introduction. I'm so delighted to be part of your tribe.
Well, happy to have you. Now we're part of each other's, right?
That's true. Thank you.
So, Archana, this podcast, Work from the Inside Out, is all about transitions and moves that people have made in their careers to find greater meaning, satisfaction, and fulfillment as we move through our professional lives. And it's clear that you have done a lot in your professional life. Tell us a little bit about where you started and how that led you to where you are today.
Right. Great question, Tammy. To give you a little bit of context about my background, so I grew up in a suburban, middle-class, working-class family in India, and my father was the only earning member of the family. We did not have all the lavish stuff, and my parents did everything possible to make ends meet. So it was a struggle at times, and I could feel the inequality that existed in the society. And somewhere deep down, I wanted a better life. At the same time, my mother is a very bright lady, but she could not go to college and university because she did not have enough opportunities. But she did everything in her capacity to give us good education because she felt education and a good job is a doorway to success. So we grew up with the mindset that education and a good job plays an important role to take you from where you are to where you want to be. At the same time, I also saw my mother feel powerless at times when she had to depend on my father for financial needs. So, what she did was she started taking these tuition classes for the very young from third grade to seventh grade, despite of not having a university degree. So she took it on her and to find a way out of the desperation. So instead of moaning and lamenting and being a victim of circumstances, she became a creator. So she was a very powerful influence on me at a very young age. Lesson that I learned early on was you can become what you choose to become. Anything is possible if you put your mind into it. And I also learned that there is no substitute to hard work because I saw both my parents working very hard to make our ends meet. So that was the kind of background I grew up in. And because I knew I had to work hard, I worked very hard. And then I was a straight A student in school. I got into a reputed college, and my dream was to become a doctor. So in India, where I grew up, getting into good colleges and universities is very, very competitive. I worked very hard to get into a medical college, but I could not succeed in getting the grades that were required for the admission. So it was one of the most heartbreaking moments of my life. I was depressed, and it took for me long to come out of that depression and figure out what to do next. And then I decided to take up functional medicine, that is Ayurveda. I studied Ayurveda and I topped the university. I was in the top three in the university. In India, the universities are very, very huge. So it's around 15, 20,000 of people. And then I started my own practice as a doctor, and it was a flourishing practice. And then I got married. So my husband then got a job in the Middle East. And then I had to decide whether to continue my practice in India or to stop what I had and to join him. My family, I then made a decision because family was important. So I joined him in the Middle East and I had to start all over again. So that was a second kind of crucible moment in my life where I'd gone to the top again, come down and start all over again.
So were you not able to continue to practice?
Coming here, I had nothing to do. It was a completely new country, new people, new environment, and no knowledge of what to do next. So then I took it on me, and then I decided to go to grad school, did my MBA, did my project management certifications, and a couple of other computer science certifications, and then I moved into the corporate world. So that was the second move that I did. And then slowly I moved up the ladder. One fine day, I get to know that there are layoffs. So it took me almost 5, 6 years. I was up in a very good position, and then the layoff happened.
I want to ask you a couple questions about that, because it sounds like you accomplished quite a bit in that. It sounds like a fairly short period of time. You moved with your husband for his job, it sounds like, to the Middle East. Was that in Qatar, where you are now?
Yes.
And then you got your project management certification.
Yeah.
And your MBA.
Yes.
And some training in computer science. Was that separate from the MBA?
Yes, the training in computer science, yes, that was separate from the MBA. I did that when I was in India just because I was interested in computer science, and it was just out of curiosity. So I took. Yes.
So you're kind of a lifelong learner, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So that sounds like that was a commitment of a few years of training that you did when you first arrived in the Middle East. You immersed yourself in some school for a while, and then you got a job in a corporate setting. Was that right?
Yes.
And how long was that for before you were laid off?
So the computer science training in India was for 3 years. So so that was an advanced diploma for 3 years. My medical degree in Ayurveda was for 6 years with 1 year of internship.
Wow.
Then MBA was for 3 years, and project management certification, it took me almost a year because that was easy. As when I started doing my corporate work, it was not so difficult. But others took a lot of time and effort.
So you really dedicated, a good 10 years of time to education and training and
yes,
your career. Were you dedicating that full time, or were you working at the same time you were doing all these things?
So it was an executive MBA. So I had to go a couple of times. So it was like not full time there, but I had to
Ah.
go to the universities, come back so I had to manage all this stuff while I was doing my while in Qatar. Yeah.
And what kind of work were you doing before you were laid off? What kind of a company were you working in?
So I was working in. I started my career in Qatar with the radio and television corporation. So
Oh,
that was a government agency, and I was into IT development and management.
IT management, development and management.
Yes, systems development and management. Yeah.
Okay. It's good to know just to get a sense of.
Yes, and then I moved, and then the layoff happened. I went back to zero. So it was like a peaks and valleys. So if I look back, I can say that it was like my journey so far has been a roller coaster ride. It has never be.
There were clearly a lot of ups and downs, but when I hear you say you went to zero, it's funny, not really funny, haha, but I mean, I don't hear zero. I hear a very rich career, a very, I can understand a layoff feels like a zero, but it must have felt like you weren't sure where to go next at that point. Is that why it felt like zero?
Yes, because you struggle, you put in a lot of emotional, mental effort to reach a certain position, and then when you go to that position where you don't know what to do next, it
Yeah.
seems like there's no path ahead. But then when you settle down, you know that you have collected a rich bag of experiences and expertise and credentials with you, which you could apply somewhere else. So
And so, yeah, I would imagine so. Although I would imagine given the field that you were in, there might not have been a ton of options, but where did that take you next after the
So,
radio and TV?
yeah, so I started a couple of times all over again, sometimes because of a layoff, and then sometimes I chose to fire myself. I chose an organization next, but then I realized it was not a fit for me.
Yeah.
And then I tried another job. So it was like ups and downs for a few years. And then I took up a job in a financial institution, which is one of the largest in the MENA region. And so this failures and setbacks now, when I look at it, I think it doesn't deter me too much now because I've seen and experienced what it feels like when you go down, both in my
Sure.
personal and professional lives.
What were the things that helped you make those moves from one thing to the next? I think that while I do have listeners all over the world, I would say that most of them are in North America. And I'm curious, given that you were in another part of the world, here in North America, a lot of people make their next moves based on networking and connections and things like that. And so I'm curious, at the time that you were going through some of the ups and downs or making some moves from one position to the next, what were some of the ways that you found your way to some of those newer roles as you moved forward?
So it was not through a lot of connections because I did not know a lot of people, and there were very few networking events here. So it was not basically through the networking events, but
Okay.
through the regular job application process.
Okay. Okay. Is that typical there?
Yes.
And through those ups and downs after you left the radio and TV, were you still staying kind of in the IT development systems management arena?
I moved from systems development to project management and program management and this kind of stuff. So managing large projects. So when I moved to the bank, so it was basically on the project management, delivery of projects, handling large projects for the bank. So that was kind of my role. So it moved
But
from
still in
development.
IT.
Yes. It was still in IT, and I had, and it is interesting because from IT you get to meet all the different units of the bank. So whether it
Right.
is corporate, whether it's retail, whether it is your private banking, investment banking. So it is a very wonderful place to be in, where you get to meet different kinds of people. And I also realized one thing I have to tell you, that for many years it was a story that was ringing inside my head,
Mm.
that I was not good enough, and I was constantly seeking approvals to kind of validate my self worth. Probably, and I think now it is because of that first. thing that happened to me when I could not get to grad school, and I started telling myself that I was not good enough. So that story was ringing for a very long time, and I had to do a lot of inner work to understand what was actually going on and why I was constantly seeking this external validations. And deep down, and I'm telling this because the podcast is about working from the inside out, so knowing yourself. So I had to do a lot of inner work and know myself to seek what I'm actually seeking.
Yeah.
And then I realized it was like I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, to do something that makes a difference in somebody else's life.
Yeah.
But I was scared. Actually, honestly speaking, I was scared to take the leap because the belief I was having as I grew up, is that a 9 to 5 job is safe. So I was
Yeah.
so I was fearful that I might have to go through the struggles of childhood again. So probably that was the fear that was stopping me to take the next leap.
So you were at the bank and managing these large projects, and it sounded like there was a lot of reward and pleasure and enjoyment out of that, and yet there was something else calling to you at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what happened in the corporate world? I got exposed both to good and bad leadership. I saw and experienced the gaps in leadership and in the organization as a whole. So the vision and the mission statements are big, bold, lofty, but I did not find the leadership so inspiring. People, I'm not talking very specific to the place where I was working, but I was generally saying many organizations. So this was the feel and experience that I was facing. So the
Yeah.
leadership was not inspiring. People were considered as a commodity and constantly being told that you and your work does not matter. You can be easily replaced.
Aha.
So it was clear for me that what kind of leader I wanted to be and what I did not want to be. So at times
Right.
it put me down when you get that feeling that you are easily disposable. So it's not a good feeling. But then looking back, I feel that it is an important lesson. So because it taught me what kind of leader I don't want to be.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
So I always believed there is a better way to lead. And that led me to Daniel Goleman's program on EI and my work on leadership coaching and mentoring. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I developed this model called as the next gen leadership model for leadership and supporting people to grow as leaders and get great results by building a culture of happiness, engagement, and connection. Because I truly believe that work does not have to destroy us.
Yes.
Can be a way in which we can achieve our fullest self, find meaning, and build healthy relationships. But this is possible only if we have a compassionate, bold, and an inspirational leader.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I love the way that it kind of rolls off the tongue, when you say happiness, engagement, and connection. It really resonates, and I appreciate you sharing how you go all the way back to connecting with your origin of not going to medical school and
Mm.
and and yet having this yearning to want to work with people and help people and finding your way, and it sounds like also through all the different ups and downs, twists and turns of your career, you never stopped learning along the
Mm.
way. And clearly, I mean, you're very highly educated. You've got skill sets in a number of different areas, um, and it sounds like you're able to take a lot of those and really apply those to your entrepreneurship, especially. I'm curious, your Ayurveda practice, even though you're not practicing now, or I'm assuming you're not practicing now, there's a lot of, I would imagine, principles or practices out of that also apply, at least in principle, to building healthy relationships and the kind of leadership that you're talking about. Would you say that there's some parallels between that?
Yes, for sure, and you're right. Because the common thread that I see between now and then is the difference that I wanted to make in people's lives. So whether being a doctor or whether being a leadership mentor and coach, that is the common thread. I want to make an impact on people's life. So it
Yeah.
was, and I believe whether it is through medicine, being a doctor, or whether being a leader,
Mhm.
leadership is also a discipline of service where you have an opportunity to serve people. So I
Mm.
don't see a difference between being a doctor or being a leader. We both have the power to make an impact.
Oh, I
It,
love that.
yes, and I believe strongly that it is a discipline of service. So when we choose to look at leadership as a discipline of service, we inspire people to be the best that they can be. So that shifts that whole philosophy of me leadership to we leadership.
Would you say that thread has carried you through everything that you have done?
Yes, and now coming to the summit, and I before answering this question, you asked me about what was the common thread about Ayurveda and how does it apply now.
Yeah.
In Ayurveda, there is a small program in yoga and mindfulness and the inner work that we need to do. So I think that has been a very powerful stuff for me because through mindfulness, it has helped me understand myself. I do a lot of inquiry within myself to understand who am I, what am I doing, what is meaningful for me. So, and having those practices on a daily basis, whether in the morning or afternoon or evening, it has helped me become a more mindful leader. And
Yeah.
and to answer your second question about the difference that I want to make, so that is how this idea of the summit was born. So what I was realizing when I was working with as a coach and mentor with small organizations and people, I was feeling my impact was limited to a subset of people, and my goal, my big hairy goal, is to make an impact, a large impact in the world by actually
Right.
shifting our thinking. It's not only by doing, but changing the mindset. Like I said, leadership is a discipline of service. My idea is to shift the thinking of the leaders. And that's how this idea of the summit was born, because I knew that there is so much of good work and research all around the world, and the old models are not working. So I started thinking, how could I leverage the collective wisdom that is present all over and benefit everybody? And that's how the idea of the summit was born. And I'm so thankful to all of you, including yourself, Tammy, that we have come together to help others grow and close the leadership gaps and take them from one place to another place.
Well, clearly it's my pleasure to be a part of that. And tell us a little bit more about the summit and more about the substance of the summit and how people can access it and get involved with it if they want to.
So the summit runs for 3 days, that is from November 5 to 7. And we have around more than 35 world class experts, including Daniel Goleman, Kristen Neff, and many others, who will be speaking across 3 days. And each day there will be a morning and an afternoon session. So there will be around 13 sessions a day. And this is free to watch for 3 days. After which we're giving an opportunity for the people to buy the summit, because you will then have lifetime access to all the video sessions, to the audio sessions, to the transcripts, and I'm also preparing myself an action guide for each of the speaker based on the insights that I have got from each interview. So that has been extremely a valuable resource. That will be an extremely valuable resource because that is a condensed form of the interview where you get three big ideas, two insights, and one action step that you can take immediately. And there is a workshop that I'm planning on leader development, which will be available to the VIP pass holders. And also I'm planning, like I told you, Tammy, to form a community of people, of like-minded leaders, where we all have ongoing support to the leaders. So there would be access to the community for 3 months to the people who choose to buy the VIP pass. Because I believe the path to inspirational leadership is not easy, because the challenge then gets in the implementation. But with the right tools and a supportive community and the support structure of experts, this is possible.
Well, that sounds like an enormously rich resource. And I totally agree with you that it is something that takes practice, and it's something that we're always working on within ourselves, whether we lead an organization, whether we're a leader in our own lives. And I know that the piece that I talked to you about leading across the generations, but also about the idea that we're all leaders. It's not
Right.
just about being the boss or being a supervisor, that there's a leader within each of us. And how do we carry that through to have the kind of impact that each of us might want to have as we go through our lives? So there's a lot of good reasons for people to take advantage of this. I hope they will. We will certainly have a lot of information in the show notes about this so that people can avail themselves of this tremendous resource. It's very exciting. So, Archana, tell me, you've got a lot of plates spinning. So, how do you manage your business and the summit and everything that you're doing all at once?
Right. I think one of the important things is allowing myself to make mistakes. So I always try to wear an experimental mindset hat. So it's like a scientist who's going to the lab and then testing the next formula, whether it works or not. So I always try to wear an experimental mindset. Okay, if this works, it's good. If not, what is it that can I learn from this test and then apply it to the next test? So one of that is having an experimental mindset and then taking the next small step instead of looking at the big lofty goal. So take small steps, have an experimental mindset. But the most important thing is having a support system of people around you. Because I cannot stress this enough, having an ecosystem, I call it as an ecosystem of trusted peers, mentors, coaches, who would not only help you in your professional journey, but they are the sounding board, even for your personal life problems. So it's very important to have few people in your support network, who can hear you, who can support you, who can challenge you, who can encourage you. So build a support system. I would ask all your people to build a support system of peers, coaches, mentors, whatever works for you, but having that in your network of, because ultimately you are the average of 5 people you are surrounded with. That's what Jim Brown says, and it has been so true for me. So do have a support system. Having a support system is absolutely critical to have a successful life and career.
Oh, I so agree with that. Very, very important. And one thing that I often will tell people is nobody is really successful in a vacuum.
Yeah. Yeah, you cannot succeed alone. That's a myth that you can only succeed alone.
Yeah.
So, and look at the work that we do for the summit. I would never have imagined doing a summit alone. It is because of all the 35 plus experts, researchers, thought leaders that I have on the show that is making it successful. So it is collaborative work. So it is moving from that mindset of competition to collaboration that is absolutely critical to move ahead in the next few years.
Oh, that makes so much sense. And I love what you've done with the summit, with the leadership summit, and all the different experts that you've gathered, and all the pieces that you're putting into place with the action guide, and then moving towards creating a community around that. I think that work is vitally important, and all the work that you're doing as a coach and a mentor with organizations. Archana, that's vital work that we need in our world right now. Tell us, where can people learn more about your work? How can they find you?
So one of the things for the summit, it is Inspirational Leadership Summit. It's one word, inspirationalleadershipsummit.com. So that's the place where they can register. And regarding my work, it is archanashetty.com, ARCHANASHETTY.com. So you'll find about myself. I write on a weekly basis. So you can read my blogs and the services that I provide. I'm also active on LinkedIn. So it's Archana N. Shetty on LinkedIn.
Great. Well, we will include all those links, all that information in the show notes.
Thank you.
So thank you for being here today, Archana. I really appreciate it. And speaking to me across the world.
I know, the world is small. Yeah. So it has been a pleasure to be on the show, Tammy. I love the work that you're doing because working from inside out is very, very critical to success and growth. And I would leave the audience with just a couple of things that inspire me.
Wonderful. Tell us.
So the first thing what I wanted to tell is that, start even before you think you're ready, because this is one of the lessons that I have learned. I waited for all the check boxes to be ticked. It is not that. So just start even before you are ready and believe in yourself, because we always shun away the little voice in our head, but learn to listen to that voice and believe in yourself. And the quote, one of the quote that often inspires me is like, yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. This is by Rumi. But today I'm wise, so I'm changing myself.
I love that.
So we all have the power to choose to become whom we want to become. So
yes, and you're doing a beautiful, you're offering us a beautiful example of that, Archana. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy, for having me.
I hope you enjoyed my interview with Archana Shetty. It was so interesting to speak with her and learn about her personal and professional journey. Archana was generous enough to invite me to participate in an amazing event that she has created, the Inspirational Leadership Summit, and it is coming up soon. It is a 3-day online event from November 5th through the 7th, 2019. The goal of the Inspirational Leadership Summit is to help you grow as leaders. The summit has an amazing lineup of 35 leadership experts, thought leaders who share their best strategies and practical tools to help you close the leadership gaps and become an inspirational leader of the next generation. You can get your free pass to the summit at www.inspirationalleadershipsummit.com. More details and links are in the show notes, so take a look there. The event is completely online, so you can join from anywhere. If you were inspired by this episode with Archana, please share it with your friends and colleagues. Share what resonated with you in the show notes at workfromtheinsideout.com. Look for episode 047. That's also where you'll find all the links and resources from today's podcast. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss next week's show. Remember, subscribing is always free. Are you enjoying the podcast? I'd love to read your review on Apple Podcasts. It's easy to find my page at tammygulerloeb.com/Apple. Thanks so much for listening. And remember, it's never too late or too impossible to increase your sense of fulfillment and satisfaction in your work and other meaningful activities. Let me know how it's going for you. And who knows, maybe you'll be my next interview on this podcast. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to the Work from the Inside Out podcast. For more information, you can find us at www.workfromtheinsideout.com.